Are you ready now?
Sure.
All right, what's our intro?
Let's get ready.
Okay, give me that intro. Welcome to Faith-Filled Nerds, where two happily married nerds explore Christian symbolism, iconography, and theology within various fandoms.
Our goal is to pit them against the source and see how accurate or inaccurate they are.
I'm John Mark.
And I'm Michelle.
And we're here to discuss Dogma.
By Kevin Smith. This is my first Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
This is my last Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah, well, okay.
I'm kidding.
Kevin Smith
what
has
else did he do?
He did Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
No, I don't care about any of the Jay and Silent Bob stuff.
Well, no, they're all in the same universe. He did Clerks 1 and 2. He did Mallrats.
Did anything recently?
No, he did take a break from directing for a while because he had some health issues.
These are things he's also had his hands on, necessarily.
Yeah, he
his filmography. I know he did Tusk. Yeah, I remember that because it was a joke from his podcast that they turned into a movie. Yeah,
but he had some health issues and he actually dropped a lot of weight.
Yeah, he didn't do anything from 2011 to 2014 till 2014.
Because he helped direct that movie, but he's Silent Bob. He's the actor that plays Silent Bob. So, anyways, Dogma. This is a movie.
Oh, is Kevin Smith Silent Bob?
Yes.
That makes sense. They look alike. That makes all much sense. Shut up! I can hear you.
Okay. No.
I wasn't paying attention.
I am going to point this out to you because so I was talking about this movie and I was like, hey, I think we're going to watch this movie. And she's like, oh yeah, I've seen that movie. I really like that movie. I was like, really? It's like, yeah. It's got Jay and Silent Bob. I was like, yeah, I like those two guys. I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, they're in that movie where they play chess with the Grim Reaper.
Look,
and I was like, honey,
it's just two-guy movies.
That's Bill and Ted.
There's a lot of two-guy movies, okay? Doing stupid stuff.
So
it's like a thing. It's a thing. I actually have never seen any of those movies. I just saw a scene. So I have I was really young, so I only have a memory of two guys playing chess with death.
Yeah.
That's all there's no actual imagery for what they look like other than death because he was pretty iconic.
Yeah.
But because all I care about was death because I thought he was cool because I am weird and I always zoom in on the weird stuff. Anyway, so we watched Dogma.
Yeah, we watched Dogma.
And the interesting thing about Dogma is it's unstreamable.
Yeah.
It's also $30-some online.
Oh.
So trying to buy an actual DVD. So I had to go on a deep dive. It wasn't actually that deep. I said how to watch Dogma on Google, and someone had uploaded the whole thing to YouTube. So I want you to know that we would have paid for it if they would have let us, but I wasn't going to spend $30 for a one-time watch.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie wasn't that bad, so I don't know. Let's talk about it a bit.
Yeah,
you think we're gonna end up splitting this up?
We'll see how it goes.
We not cover. There's a lot.
There really is, and we probably. I picked out a few things that I want to talk about, but there's probably so much more that we could talk about. And
this movie is a star-studded cast: Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Alan Rickman, Chris Rock. I mean, it's a '90s star-studded cast.
Yeah.
I'm sure these other people are important too, but.
Anyways,
so
we're talking about Dogma, and this is a kind of a weird movie because the plot. Okay, the overall plot. We went into this movie thinking we weren't going to like it.
At least I was going into this movie thinking I'm not going to like it, not because of the plot as much as two certain characters.
Yes.
So,
now the plot of this, the more I think about it, the more I'm thinking
the more wild it is.
This is some straight up Wile E. Coyote stuff because. So this is the plot of it. So there is it starts off with this. Well, technically, it starts off with
starts off with the angels, doesn't it?
No, it starts off with an old guy getting beat up by some teenagers.
Oh yeah, that was really confusing.
You find out why, and they're not really teenagers.
Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like when the scene opens with this old, like, homeless-looking guy staring off at the ocean, seeming to be just enjoying it, and then these three very
90s teenagers,
Disney Channel rejects come over and just like the 90s Disney Channel bullies come over and just beat the crap out of him.
So it starts off with this cardinal, and they're trying to rebrand the Catholic Church for a newer generation.
Got it. They're the Brink kids.
Yeah.
Disney Channel Brink. Remember that movie?
No, I don't.
It's like it's a skater movie. So now that reference is lost on you. That's really sad.
Yeah.
You didn't see Disney Channel movies in the 90s?
I saw a few, but I didn't see Brink. Anyways, so we've got this cardinal, and then it cuts to this cardinal, and they're rebranding the Catholic Church for a new generation.
You remember more about this movie? There's so much of this movie. My brain's usually a trap for this stuff, and I forgot about this.
Yeah, this is, if you ever see the meme for the Buddy Jesus, this is the movie that it came from.
I forgot how much I love Buddy Jesus. I was like, look at him. He looks so white. I was gonna say dumb, but it's Jesus, so I felt like it's sacrilegious, but it looks really dumb, and I love it so much.
It's so weird.
Because it's something I could see someone doing. I think that's the problem I have with the good thing and the bad thing about this movie is it's never too far away from what I could see someone trying to do.
Well, it's not too far away from what a lot of mega churches kind of do, which I've got my opinions on some of those. Anywho, they're rebranding the Catholic Church for a younger audience.
Well, this part, I don't know if the whole Catholic Church is doing it or just this area.
This area. And they're basically doing New Jersey.
It would be New Jersey.
It would be New Jersey.
I know absolutely nothing about New Jersey.
As part of this rebranding, they were, this cardinal was bringing back indulgences. But it's like anyone who passes through the archway of this church, has all of their sins expunged, right?
Yeah.
And this is where the Wile E. Coyote stuff comes up.
Wait.
The entire crux of this movie.
I just realized a plot hole, but continue.
Yeah. The entire crux of this movie is the master plan of these two angels is that they have been kicked out of heaven, can never return, and they're going to use this arch as like a loophole to get back. Even though...
So what their goal is to walk through this arch, get all their sins forgiven, cut their wings off to become human, and die.
And then they can get into heaven.
And they can get into heaven. Now, the death can't be intentional because it's Catholic, so, you can't kill yourself.
Yeah. So this is, like I said, this is the Wile E.
Loud.
Yeah, I know. This is the Wile E. Coyote stuff. This is like taking 3 lefts to make a right.
Well, when you think about how they discovered it.
Yeah.
It's like they get this, piece of newspaper clipping sent to them by a mysterious source, and they, not Angel of Death. There's Loki, and then there was
they named the Angel of Death Loki. I don't know why.
Well, I think maybe because he's been around so long, maybe that's where they're kind of playing, because he likes to mess with people, right?
I suppose, yeah.
So he's maybe the idea is he's Loki, the trickster god to some people. Right. Because he literally convinces a nun to abandon her faith. Yeah,
which is oof.
the starting scene was I'm like, is this what the whole movie is? Because I'm out.
Yeah.
Other than, these young, beautiful men, they look so 90s, though. My goodness, it hurts.
Yeah.
Looking at Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, it's just whoa, look at the babies. They're babies.
But, yeah, it's so Wile E. Coyote because
look up the name.
It would be so much easier to, cut their wings off, become human, ask for forgiveness through, the normal means of Christianity, and then...
Bartleby?
Yeah, Bartleby and Loki. Yeah, are the 2 angels. So after we have this scene with the cardinal and the scene with the 2 angels in
we meet our main character.
We have all this plot set up.
I think that what's good for this movie is they didn't just shove Silent Bob and what's his face.
Oh, Jane Silent Bob.
Yeah, they didn't just like start out with it. They like set up this whole plot first. They set up the angels and what they want to do. Yep. They set up the church and what it's doing, basically because they're just trying to get people to go to church more.
Yep.
And then they set up Bethany and her kind of you learn more about her, but her kind of really tragic. It's really sad story. It's a little bit of a stereotype story, but I forgave it because it's in the 90s.
Yeah.
And maybe she works at Planned Parenthood, and I was just like, oh, really? Of course. Yeah. But it's during the Planned Parenthood. It has been a hot topic for a while, and that's not what our podcast is about.
Right. So that's where she works. I can't remember which one of those she is, but she works there. Yeah, and she's been going...
I'm assuming it's...
Like a regular...
I think it's an abortion clinic. They're just calling it. And they didn't do any research. They just said, Planned Parenthood. I think it's just an abortion clinic. Just a
regular abortion clinic. And she's still going to church.
She still goes to church.
Even though she talks about, like, one of the opening discussions she has with one of her friends is just how she has lost her faith, but she keeps going.
It's really sad.
It is really sad, but, I mean, her friend has...
I like this character a lot. I liked Bethany.
Her friend has a kind of interesting analogy about how, like, when you're young, like, your faith is like a cup, when you're young, it's small, and it doesn't take much to fill it up, but as you get bigger, as you get older, that cup. It was an interesting...
It's analogy. As you mature and you begin to understand how more the unfairness of the world and all of that has your if you expand your understanding of things, you may need more than just Jesus loves you. I mean, that is go to church and you're forgiven. Like that's pretty much what you're taught as a kid. Be a good person, go to church, love Jesus, love your family. Yeah. Don't do bad stuff. Yeah, that's kind of the endness of faith taught to a child, right? That's kind of the grasping.
Yeah.
So,
but as you get older, you have more experiences. It's.
I mean, we've all struggled with our faith as we got older.
Yeah.
Question things about it, but I know I have, and I still do at times. Yeah. We all have you don't always have to be 100% on everything to still have faith.
Yeah, I think
having some doubts and questions is perfectly okay. I mean, David does it a lot in the Bible.
Yeah.
And we know David messes up all the time. And yet he's still a man after God's heart somehow. Yeah.
I think it's because...
I have some opinions on David.
It's because... Well, I think with David, it's because even though he was screwing up,
yes,
he was still seeking after. We meet our main character, and that night she is visited by the Metatron, which I was like, honey, can you do some research on what
I did? I did more than what I just said aloud.
Yeah, what the Metatron is, and apparently she was like, it's in the Talmud, and that's pretty much mostly
it's Kabbalistic too.
Ah, yes.
But, I mean, so the Metatron, which is not sadly a really cool Transformer character, what I thought.
You were thinking of Megatron.
No, I mean, Metatron could totally be a name of another guy around. I mean, they do Tron a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Also, I just thought I'd put this out here. Dogma is a principle a principle or set of principles laid down by an authority as incontrovertibly true. Why can't I say that? Words are really tough today, guys. Like reading them and pronouncing them.
Apparently.
It's just not. I couldn't say, lever.
Lever, yeah.
I wanted to say leather, and I could not get the V today. So anyway, Metatron. He's the greatest of all the angels in Jewish myths and legends.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Hebrew figure, but he's not a Hebrew Bible figure. He is several passages of the Talmud, and he is found in some of the Kabbalistic texts, which is I actually looked up the Cabal.
Cabal, yeah, that's the
which is it's Jewish, basically Jewish mysticism or Jewish magic. Yep. It appeared in the 12th century, and it's kind of a way. It's interesting. It's a means of approaching God directly. It's a different way of approaching God directly.
Yeah, Kabbalism is where we get the thing of the Golem.
It lays claim to secret knowledge of the unwritten Torah or divine revelation. Yeah, the Golem is also it's Kabbalah.
Yeah.
What is my mouse
But
hitting?
yeah, so
Anyway, I want to read more about Metatron.
Oh, keep going. Sorry.
So his job was to scribe all the sins and merits of man.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. He also is a mediator for God, so he is a voice of God, but it's not what's mostly spoken. From what I'm reading, granted, I haven't gotten like any of the translated Talmud to really see what he does, but this is
Talmud.
what the it's not how it's spelled. Oh, Talmud. It's spelled Talmud. Why are you saying Talmud? Is the D? Does it make a T sound? Is it like that? Is it like is it like Taoism?
The way I hear it pronounced is Talmud.
Well,
they
who's
put an
pronouncing
M in
it?
there.
Is it Jews?
Yeah.
Okay, then I will let it go. Anyway, he is he's also known as the Lesser Yahweh, which I thought was interesting.
Interesting.
It's whose name is like that of his master, so it's like his name is similar to Yahweh, so he's like the Lesser Yahweh. It was interesting.
That is interesting.
It's also his name also is numerology, like the consonants that constitute the names of Metatron and Shaddai Almighty are analyzed according to the pre-assigned numerical values, which names total 314. Elisha ben Abua flourished 100 CE, is said to have apostatized after having a vision of Metatron. So,
well, it's interesting because they
have to talk about Michael and hear how he's like, so Metatron's the prince of the angels because Michael is the his title is Prince of Angels, where Michael is Archangel. He's the Archangel. Oh my goodness.
Are you okay
today? Am I having a stroke? Do I need to lay down? I'm worried.
Maybe.
Archangel.
Maybe.
Oh no. We're gonna have a recording of me. Anyway, that's really, I have a whole bunch of stuff open, but it's just kind of, there's a lot of stuff on him.
Well, so what's interesting about this figure, the Metatron, he's
played by Alan Rickman, so he's fascinating. In
the Talmud is in the Hebrew Bible, the actual Torah, what we get from the as the Old Testament, there is a figure that's mentioned that we translate as the angel of the Lord. And the angel of the Lord, sometimes the angel of the Lord, it'll say like the angel of the Lord came to so-and-so and, basically acted as that mediator. And in some passages, the angel of the Lord actually speaks as though he was God, which would make kind of literary sense to the people of that day. Like this is why they would have written it that way, because a lot of times when a king sent a messenger, that messenger pretty much was sent with the same amount of authority. Like a king sending a messenger to a battlefield, he would have the same authority on that battlefield as the king himself would have, because he is being sent out as the king's not only just messenger but also representative.
Yeah.
And I think that's what sort of, when you read about this figure in the Bible called the angel of the Lord, that's kind of what you have there. So maybe that's where they got this Metatron thing. And because a lot of these extra biblical writings that we have, like the Talmud and the Apocrypha and some of these other books,
have gone completely down a wiki rabbit hole. Interesting. Sorry, I was looking more about the Talmud, and
it's the
Talmud's the Babylonian Talmud.
Yep, there's two. We actually talked about the Talmud on other episodes.
But I like to do my own research.
So these extra biblical writings, a lot of them are they're trying to explain pieces that they don't think.
We did talk about what else. Yeah, they try to explain pieces of. There's others.
Yeah, like stuff that the Hebrews still had questions about.
Had a really good term for what we have an academic term for things like this also that are not like, they're not like 100% canon, but they're used to explore it more and ask questions. Like, it's not the answer as much as just like what of these things happened that we know of, what do they mean, like
thought experiments kind of.
There's a word there. Man, I remember he's talking about that.
I
don't remember now.
So anyway,
but Metatron's played by Alan Rickman.
Yep.
And he is amazing. And if you guys have only seen him as Snape, you should check out some of his other stuff. Because while his Snape stuff is very interesting and very well done, this man did a lot of other stuff. He wasn't always just Snape, guys.
He was in Sweeney Todd.
Well, okay, he was also in stuff before Sweeney Todd.
I know. Right? But, so anyways, the Metatron, he comes and he basically tells... He's
kind of a jerk.
The main character. Well, he's like
so done with this job.
It's not so much that he's so done with his job.
The angels in this, they're kind of apathetic. Like, they're just like, because like her job, like his job's literally to babysit God. So
yeah, which I have kind of a problem with some of the way they represent God. But we'll get it.
That's the only problem we have, guys.
We'll get into that. But anyways, he's telling Bethany, the main character, that she needs to go and she needs to go to New Jersey and stop these two angels from entering this church, because apparently, if this plan that they have concocted to get back into heaven goes through, all existence will be undone.
Yep.
Which, okay.
Well, the thing is, okay, so the setup is they have been kicked out of heaven and have been told they can never come back.
Yeah.
God has banned them from heaven forever.
Yeah.
Like, when the world ends, they'll just be stuck in space. Like, they can never, ever come back.
Yeah.
And so if they do get their sins forgiven and become human and die in a non-sinful way, so they die because they have faith, like they believe God, they know God. Like, you know, it's like there is that. I don't know if they kind of missed the step of whole relationship with God aspect, but other than that, you know what I mean?
Well, even like the Bible even says, even the demons of hell know of God and fear him.
They're not worried about that aspect. They just think they'll get to go back and I guess they get to go back in heaven if they, you know,
have their sins forgiven.
The rest of the steps don't matter as long as they're sinless. Anyway, I guess if you're like a baby. So if they do this, they should be able to go to heaven by the rules that is applied in this film of how to get into heaven, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of contradicts each other. They're not allowed in heaven, but if they're human, sinless, and, you know, under whatever the Catholic doctrine, they should be allowed to go into heaven.
Yep.
So it contradicts. It's impossible. Thus, reality unravels because God cannot be wrong.
Yeah.
That is the thing. God cannot be wrong. Thus, it would break it all. And I'm like, but... I kept going, but wait. Remember, I kept going. You and I kept going, but wait.
and they cite the passage in Matthew 16, verse 19, because one of the things that Loki brings up is like, this is a human law; it shouldn't apply to heaven. And Barnaby replies with the passage from Matthew 16, verse 19, which is the what you loose on heaven, what you loose on earth, I will loose in heaven. What you bind on earth, I will bind in heaven. That, first of all, that verse needs some context. That was when Jesus was talking to Simon, who at that point was renamed Peter, after Peter had made the declaration that Jesus was the Messiah. And Jesus said, you know, I will name you Peter, for you will be the rock that I build my church on. And I don't think that in that passage Jesus is like saying that God has to follow the rules that humans set down, because that's not how that works.
We would have a lot more problems because of we've talked about the Catholic Church history, we've talked about Christian history, and I am very much a part of that history, no matter what domination. What is the word I'm looking for? Denomination. Anyway, I am broken today. Denomination. I am a part of, I think it's really important as Christians to reflect and take into account the horrors that people have used the church's power to do. Mm-hmm. So like when I say Catholic history, I don't just mean their history and we should demonize them or anything. It's a group effort. And I want to be where I am without the Catholic Church. So, you know. Yeah. Like they've done many good things too. We just don't write those in history. But I had a point I was going with this, and then I lost words. You were talking about how if it was just whatever mankind, it would be
it's dangerous if you don't understand the full context of.
Well, yeah, I mean, taking it in the context that's presented in the movie is extremely dangerous.
Yes. And it's just not how it works. Like,
no, it's not.
God is not, because the way
we believe that's how it works, we could do a lot of harm on Earth.
The way they think it is that God has to follow this indulgence thing that this archway apparently has been set up for. I'm like that. Like the whole time I saw this movie, I was like, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Yeah, but it's okay
because it makes the plot of the movie.
It does make the plot of the movie.
It's one of those times where you have to gulp and go, well, here we go. And then we move on.
So that's the thing. The Metatron sends her on this quest to stop these two angels, because if their plan succeeds,
this is all
everything
before
will be...
Jay and Silent Bob show up, by the way. So this movie does a really good job setting up its plot without introducing the Dumbos. I should not be using that as not correct. Or
as she refers to them, the idiot twins.
The idiot twins.
So, flash forward.
She gets attacked.
She gets attacked by the skater triplets.
By the Brink rejects.
Yeah, the Brink rejects. And she is saved, speaking of Jay and Silent Bob, she's saved by them coming in and beating these guys up.
I was just thinking about how they're like, we support women. Why are you here, hanging out here? Because women getting to an abortion clinic must be pretty loose. Like, it's like, what?
Well, okay, look. Here's the thing about Jay,
Every time he opened his mouth, I wanted to punch him.
Here's the thing about Jay.
Did.
I didn't think people like that existed until I got this job.
Oh, no, they exist.
Oh, yeah, no. I got a job, and one of my coworkers was like Jay. Like, basically, he was Jay. And I'm like, oh, people like you actually exist. All right.
Man.
Because every time he opened his mouth, I was just like, please stop talking to me. Please.
So... the movie goes on.
Yeah, she goes with them out towards
New Jersey. They're New York, right?
I don't know where they are.
It's the closest to New Jersey.
Maybe. No, they're in someplace in Illinois, because they have this anyways. So they head out that way, and then they, through some circumstances, meet the next member of their adventuring party.
Yeah, I like this one too.
Rufus, who apparently is the 13th Apostle, played by Chris Rock. And
oh man,
his entire character.
That's his character.
He has two parts to his character. Like, he has two modes.
I actually like this character though.
He has the mode where he's basically talking about he's on this kick about, how Jesus wasn't white, which he's right. He wasn't.
No one was white.
Nobody
in the Bible was white.
Yeah, they were all Hebrews.
Yes.
Well, not all of them were Hebrews. The Romans probably were the closest.
They might have had some white people.
Because the Romans during that time were probably the closest thing to Western, what we would consider Western culture.
Yeah, but even then, where they were located, they wouldn't have been white yet. They didn't. Don't quote me on this. A lot of that came from when they began to expand out, right, and begin to indoctrinate the barbarian tribes and stuff.
The entire white Jesus thing came during the Renaissance. That was a real big thing.
No, what I meant was like the biblically speaking, if they're Hebrew, they're probably not white.
No, they would be Middle Eastern,
brown, and maybe black.
Yeah,
because Africa's not too far away.
Nope, and there a lot of people. The biggest immigration into that area from Africa would have actually been from Egypt.
I guess we can say the chances of Jesus being black is way more likely than him being white.
But Luke and Matthew probably have the most extensive sections on genealogy. Luke, who dictated the Gospel of Luke, he was a physician, so his attention to detail was nuts. That's why those two books, Matthew and Luke, are so much longer than Mark and John. In fact, Mark is probably the shortest of the Gospels. But we have two genealogies. One that tracks Jesus's genealogy through Joseph, and one that tracks his genealogy through Mary. But yeah, you can actually track down.
No,
you can actually
I know.
read Jesus' genealogy.
I'm just saying, like.
Now, funny thing about that is, Jesus actually spent a pretty good amount of his life
In Egypt.
In Egypt, yeah.
But Egypt was still pretty not black, I was right? Isn't it still pretty brown?
I don't know. I've never been to Egypt.
I'm not going to sit here and assume things because I'm not brown or black. I am very white and I don't understand all that stuff. And that's not my place to talk about exactly.
But
Chris, Chris what?
Chris Rock. His other character trait is he is sort of the more.
He's a mentor.
Yeah, he's very mentory. He's also more of the down to earth kind of.
He talks about some really interesting things too.
He does. Now I don't necessarily agree with all of what he talks about, but he does have, probably in this movie, he probably has the most theologically relevant lines, even though some of them are off a little bit. So we meet. So Rufus
is controversial.
Well, Rufus, I wouldn't say he's controversial.
No, he has some really good points.
He has some very good points.
He definitely
There's some other points.
An interesting. I think that's something I have. This movie really gave you lots of whiplash because it's really kind of digging in there, right? Even if it's theologically unsounded and a lot of stuff, very kind of fantastical.
Well, it also definitely has a particular axe to grind with Catholicism in particular.
And
Catholicism and denominations. But okay, and like I said,
because we could rename this podcast instead of Faithful Nerds and call it Catholicism.
No.
What did it do this time?
It's really easy. It's one of those things.
I just went on a rant about how I do put myself into the same bucket with it. It's an interesting, it's such a massive.
Look at Catholicism.
It's a massive denomination. It's a massive ancient religious denomination.
Yes. And I think that's why it's the biggest target, is because
changed the world.
Because it is so massive.
Yes.
And also, let's face it, as we've said on this podcast before, a lot of the stuff in Catholicism is just way easier to pull from movies. Anyways, we are going to go on another tangent. We cannot keep focused today. So
this movie covers it just makes some really broad, harsh statements, okay?
It really does. And some of them are valid.
We should have written out more statements.
I wrote a few.
I know.
Few of them. But let's keep going with the movie.
Okay, they met Rufus.
They meet Rufus, and then a little bit later they meet their next party member, who is this Serendipity.
But she doesn't. She only joins for a little bit, and then she joins him a little bit later. She's not there the whole time.
She really isn't, but she does.
She's a muse.
Yeah, she's a muse. Well, she's a muse. She calls herself a muse,
but
even though
she's an angel.
No, she's not. She's a aspect, is what she calls herself.
She's basically an aspect of humanity, right? Like she is inspiration.
Yeah.
Made into person.
Yeah. Which I mean, now to be fair, I want to point out one
of the interesting things about this movie when I was thinking about it later on is how the angels got kicked out way before Rufus went to heaven, right?
Yeah.
But since time doesn't matter in heaven, they all knew each other.
I think Rufus knew of the angels.
They recognized each other.
They did, and I think
I think they not buddy. Yeah. But I definitely think, I mean, he can watch down there too, I suppose. But they recognized him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, like, I think it did kind of, like, time didn't really matter the same way as it did.
It's true, and I think
it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it was kind of
fun. Because as here on Earth we think of time as linear, but in a place that is timeless, who knows how.
So Serendipity is an adorable character.
Who played her?
I don't know.
Because I've seen her in other things. And she talks about
Selma Hayek.
She talks about
Spanish.
She also talks a little bit about some of the she's more of the character that talks about the gender bias, particularly within the Catholic Church.
Well, she calls God her.
Yeah, which
I was like, man, this movie, when the movie came out, it really wanted to tick some people off. I'm here to make you mad.
I will say that about this movie. I don't a lot of the way they do things. Now, I don't know what Kevin Smith's theological background is, what he believes, but it definitely doesn't feel like, hey, we want to teach you about these things. It's, hey, let's poke the bear. Like there's definitely a feeling.
He came out after this movie was out, and he said when he's like, this movie did make him believe that there is something out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still believes that way, but when it was coming out, it gave the research that went into it, because they did do some. They had to do some. I mean, they didn't do like enough, but they did some.
Yeah.
They weren't there to be theologically sound. They just wanted to. They brought up those questions. Those questions, you know.
And to be fair, this movie, the first time I saw this movie in its entirety was actually in youth ministry too. With
really?
With Zach. Zach had us watch this movie, and we had to do a paper on it.
Did he also find it illegally on the internet?
No, he had
he had
the DVD. He has, like, this movie is in his DVD collection keeps.
I actually wouldn't mind this movie in my D&D collection.
Are you okay?
Am I having a stroke?
Are you okay?
Can you check my blood pressure?
Are you?
I am not.
Are you okay?
I am not, sir. I am not. I just went on a 10-minute rant about how the Bible's translation and if it's accurate and how. So, you know. DVD collection.
There we go.
D&D's on the brain today, by the way, so it's fine.
Yeah. In any case, they go and they well, first of all, this was a part of the movie that kind of made you laugh.
Line, or not cute line, a good line.
Oh, what was the line?
Serendipity?
Oh, yes. I have that written down.
Yeah.
This one, oh man, because when she said this, both of us went oof.
Yeah, we did.
She says, I have a problem, because she's talking about, you know, the problem she has with the Catholic Church. It's like, and she says, I have a problem with anyone who treats God like a burden. You don't celebrate your faith. You mourn it.
Ugh.
And we both went oof.
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 Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I know she's calling out the Catholic Church, but I've been in some Protestant churches.
No, yeah, definitely.
Where you've got you got the organ and piano going, and you're like, you know, you're singing your hymns. And don't misunderstand me. I am not bad mouthing hymns. I think hymns are a great thing. But when you're singing "Glory to God in the highest,"
I'm pretty sure that's not a hymn. But go ahead.
Yeah, whatever. You're singing something that the verbiage has this celebratory aspect, and you're singing it like a death dirge, you know, like a funeral dirge. Yeah.
Well, it's also like the way you treat your faith, like it's keeping you back sometimes.
Yeah.
It's also like, man, I would do those things, but I have God, so I can't do the things,
and, and Paul talks about this a lot. He talks about that, you know, the law and Jesus, they didn't come to us to shackle us. They were the things that were setting us free. We are already shackled. We were shackled from birth to sin. Because of the sin that's in our world, we're beholden to it.
Oh man, honey, you're doing that whole, you know, like how you're born with what's it called?
Original sin?
Original sin.
Yeah.
So you think babies don't go to heaven?
I'm not gonna. We already had this discussion. I'm not going to get into that. I already told you I'm not going to make any judgment on where anybody goes after they die because I don't know their heart. Anyways, but we're it's not just like that thing that keeps us apart from God, but it's also the fact that we have sin is all of us have the shadow of death looming over us from the moment we are born.
But I think people I think one of the things about it is they treat it like, people say it's treated like they're grieving their faith because we act like while we're here on earth, we're just trying to get to heaven.
Yes.
We're just hot ticket me to heaven.
Yeah.
That's where I'm supposed to go. I'm so scared. You're so scared of going to hell. You're so scared of damnation.
Yep.
That you are just like, I have to get through this life. It's just like a chore.
It's literally like a 9 to 5 and you're just waiting for Friday. You're just,
and
oh man, that weekend.
Point.
It's not, because we as humans, we were created on earth earth to live.
This is our home first.
Yeah, to live in this planet. Like, God created this world that we should be taking better care of, by the way. He made this world for us to live.
That's religious. That's not religious.
Yeah, to live. He made this world for us to live on it and to steward it. And so many of us treat it like it's just we're just putting in our time before we get to the real party. And yeah, it's not the point. So yes, she did have that. Was that the line that you were talking about, or did you have a different one?
So no, it's fine. Okay, so during this whole movie, by the way, they have these really good discussions, and you're like, oh yeah, I haven't thought about it that way, or like, oh, I wonder how that really worked. And then there's times where you're like, well, I know that's not how that worked, but it's a valid question. Like, I know the answer, but it's know how they have like bring up something like, well, no, but I understand what you're trying to, and then there's Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh, yes.
Jay is like, he has no idea what is going on around him at any time whatsoever. How is he alive? He has somehow survived. Like, Bob's paying attention.
Well, that's how he survived, because of Bob.
Bob keeps him alive. Bob, let him die. It's fine.
Because
I'm not, I understand, we gotta take care of the people around us and, you love your neighbor. But sometimes you just gotta let your neighbor figure some stuff out for themselves.
Well, a good point of it is the next big, action scene of this movie is when the poop demon shows up.
The poop demon!
And Jay is just like, well, obviously there's this sentient pile of excrement. The obvious choice is to take a gun and shoot him.
Oh yeah, he said.
Oh no, they don't shoot him. They have
that gang go after him.
Yeah, and they go.
What is the point of that gang?
Yeah, I don't know.
They just have. I'm sure there are some important of the era. No, actor wise, they're probably somebody, right?
They're
probably somebody. It's Maybe. Probably some name drop in there, and it's a very stereotypical looking cliche group of black men.
Yeah.
Who are at this daytime strip club.
Yeah.
Which okay.
They do exist, but
I know, but
it wouldn't be anything like what serendipity
up because
looks like.
remember when they were at the strip club and I'm like, it's like noon.
Yeah.
They have their D team out, and then it's Serendipity who's definitely not the D team. But it was just a weird scene. And then they have this there's the gangsters.
Yeah.
And then there's Bob and Jay and Silent Bob. And just this scene, it's just the gangsters attack the demon and they get they don't show it because the fighting scenes in this movie are atrocious.
Yeah, the choreography is so
bad. I'm like, did you even have a choreography coach? Did you have one? I don't think they did.
I don't think they did.
You can tell the punches are pulled. You can tell the fake hits. It was bad. And I understand it's not an action movie.
Hold on.
Oof. But yeah,
and
he's
then
shoot it.
Then go beat him up, and of course.
Do you know what they mentioned here?
Huh?
They mentioned the valley, the hell.
The mountain Golgotha because
because they mentioned the place where they put all the dead bodies because that's where the demon comes from is the body's excrements because when you die you sometimes
void yourself
and that's where the demon comes from and that's why he's a poop demon. That's not the word they called him, but that's the word we're calling him. Anyway, so Silent Bob was sitting back there, and he's honestly, Silent Bob himself, I wouldn't mind just him. We could have gotten rid of Jay, but he was actually, he was okay.
And this
up.
This scene made you laugh so hard.
So
because he pops up, he pulls out a little can of aerosol from his coat and he sprays it in the demon's face and he goes to sleep and he's just like, what did you spray with him? And she looks at the can and she's like, knocks out bad odors cold.
Yep. And I died.
Yeah.
I guess it was just so stupid that it just hit that juvenile child inside me and I lost it. I just laughed. I laughed forever. I was just laying against John Mark just laughing. And
funny.
Then I realized how bad I was laughing, so it made me laugh more. So, cycle. Anyway, so during this time, by the way, there's a demon hunting them with his demon squad of the Brink rejects.
Yep.
And also the demons helping out the angels stay undercover, right?
Yep.
So there's that happening. There's a lot going on in this movie.
So they
keep calling Bethany the last Scion.
Yes,
so
we're about to get there. So they get on the train. So they get a train and they're going on, and they actually meet up with there's this point where Bethany meets up with Loki and
Bartleby. Bartleby. It's not Barnaby. It's Bartleby.
And yes, I know we skip past the part where Bartleby and Loki go to the corporate office and kill everybody, but honestly, it's not relevant to what we're talking about.
When they did that, I was like, well,
it's a thing that happens.
The golden calf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
it isn't relevant at all.
It's not. It just kind of shows their mindset of like,
because Loki was the angel of death. Like, he was Egypt. He was Sodom and Gomorrah. So
yeah. So anyways, they will go. They get on a train. They actually meet up and they have a discussion. They don't really discuss a whole lot here.
Bartleby and Bethany really get deep into like their faith. Like they have this deep faith discussion.
Yeah.
Right, and they're empathizing and synergizing with each other. Right, like I was like, I sat there going, maybe this is how she's going to stop them.
Nope.
Right? I had hope. Okay? I felt like I was in this movie for 3,000 years already. I had this hope. I was like, maybe she's going to empathize with them. And maybe they find out that they could go back to heaven. Maybe, who knows? No. But,
But I
had a dream.
That scene with them does snap something in Bartleby, which we're going to get to.
He finds out she's the last Zion.
Yep.
And he finds out that if they do the thing, reality will unravel.
Yep.
And he takes that information with him, and he does not tell Loki, which is, like, he just broke. He was just like, I can't go home. It literally was, I can't ever go home.
Yeah.
And I just broke. He's like, well, if I can't have it, nobody can. And it's the same thing with the demon.
Yeah.
He can't go back.
So he
hates being in hell.
Yep.
Well, the demon thing is he didn't pick a side.
Yep.
He watched the fight in heaven.
And wanted to see who came out on top.
And then he was going to join whatever side was winning.
Yep.
And because God sees everything, called him out on it. You might be wondering what God's doing by this whole time, but we'll find. It's stupid.
This part is dumb.
It's stupid.
So dumb. But anyways, and Bartleby has, like, after this train scene, because they have a confrontation and they get kicked off the train, and then they're in this parking garage, and he goes on this rant, and he's talking about how, the angels were made, and then God made humanity, and humanity...
And then he gave humanity a choice, but he didn't give angels a choice.
Which we don't actually know if angels
We don't know this, of course.
Free will.
But that's when we do anything with angels and demons, we don't know the context of everything.
We don't know at all.
So we're just going to go off the basis. We're going to accept what they say in this setting as canon.
And so he's talking about how he's just so frustrated with humanity that God loves us so much, and most humanity don't even acknowledge his existence.
Yeah.
And it was one of those rants where I was, first of all, we heard the same rant when we were watching Constantine. It's the same one that Gabriel had.
I was like, he needs to get together with Gabriel.
Yeah.
I literally said that.
In that movie. But it is something, it does kind of show, like, we don't know what goes on in the minds of angels because we don't know much about it.
Yeah, we don't know how they think.
But you gotta think, like, man, wouldn't it be so frustrating to be, you were created first, and then God made these other creatures that just...
made the choice to not engage with you?
Yeah,
I think the one thing they show about God in this movie is how much he loves the earth. Like, when you see God later on in the human form, they're flipping around looking at things, they're constantly being distracted because they love their creation.
Yeah. And I think that...
And they definitely love their angels.
Yeah.
God loves his angels.
He does, but it must look so frustrating to them because...
Well, in this context, yes.
Yeah.
Because we don't know. Outside of this movie, yes.
Yeah.
Like, no, we don't know. But inside this movie, like, you feel for Bartleby. You feel for Loki. Like if you have empathy or under like humanity, you feel for these two angels who just like you feel their need. They just want to go home. Yeah. They know the presence of God. They have felt the presence of God, and now they can't never feel it again, and it hurts them. It physically hurts them to not be in the presence of God.
Yes.
And I think that's actually, like, the emotional pain from these two characters who just keep desiring this. Like, I guess, like, they weren't in that many scenes, but when they were, first off, Matt Damon and Brad Pitt, is that who it is?
No, not Brad Pitt.
I want to say Brad Pitt every single time, and it's not the right person
Ben Affleck
ever. It's Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. They're best friends, and I need to remember this.
There we go.
Anyway, they have such good chemistry. I mean, I know they're already good friends, like they're best friends, but like in real life, but their chemistry is so good. Like the first opening scene with them is annoying, but then it's really good.
It's very interesting to see Ben
Affleck just bullies the crap out of Matt Damon.
Yeah.
He just emotionally manipulates him the whole time.
Yeah. It really is interesting to see how they look at this, because, like I said, it's got to be frustrating because God has put so much work into humanity, and so much of humanity just kind of, brushes God off. And meantime, like you said, like the presence that they can't feel the presence of God, and that hurts them. Yeah.
Like it hurts them.
So
this is they're on the woods for some reason, the main character, the protagonists, and they finally explain to her who the last Zion is.
What it means to be the last Zion.
What it means. And this is where John Marks got his mind blown moment.
Yeah, I didn't know that the Catholics believed this, because
I just looked it up and it still holds true to it.
Okay. So let me
explain what the last Zion is, and then I will explain.
So the last Zion, honestly,
what I know about this, because I've studied this before. This
makes sense, because Catholics apparently believe that Mary.
Okay. I want to explain.
Okay, you want to explain this. So what the last Zion is Jesus had brothers and sisters. Actually, if you want to know some of the names of his siblings, the Bible actually in Matthew 13, verse 55, it actually names some of his brothers. James, James, the brother of Jesus, is talked about throughout both the Gospels and in the epistles. You have James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas. Mm-hmm. Four of his brothers were named.
So basically, yes, Jesus didn't have children. Jesus didn't get married. Jesus didn't do any of that. But he had siblings who did. And the last Zion is the descendants of those children, of his siblings. So,
which means that Bethany has some Jewish heritage in her background.
Yep. So the Catholic Church has always, now people used to say they worship Mary. They don't worship Mary. It's just kind of like the saints thing. They petition the saints to go before God before them. It's a thing. I'm not going to talk about like how accurate or inaccurate I believe it is. It is a part of the Catholic religion. Okay. Anyway, Mary is someone you can petition. Mary was believed to have, the Immaculate Conception. Jesus was born and she was still a virgin, born of a virgin. But the idea is that she stayed a virgin for the rest of her life. She never ever had sex with Joseph. She never had any more children. She remained perfectly without, and she also was sinless, by the way. Like she was holy in that aspect. Mm-hmm. So when they tell Bethany this, she's like, that's not true. Jesus doesn't have siblings. And like Chris Rock, because that's who he is, not Rufus, is like, wait, you really think that Joseph never was with his wife? You never, like, and it's like, I mean, it's true. Like, Joseph was never told never be with Mary. No, he was like, it was just,
in fact, the decision to, now it does say in the Bible that Joseph did not sleep with his wife.
Yeah, until
after Jesus was born.
Because born of a virgin. So it's interesting because there's these 5 points I've found about Mary, and then it has like the names for them. So it's Theotokos. Theotokos is what number 1. Mm-hmm. Mary is the mother of God. Okay, these are the 5 points of Catholic doctrine. Number 2, perpetual virginity. Mary was a virgin before, during, and after the birth of Jesus. Immaculate conception. Mary was conceived without original sin, somehow. Mary herself was. It goes into it later down. This is just the top points. Okay. I'm not gonna sit here and discuss if they're wrong or right. I don't believe it's right. I don't believe Mary was stayed a virgin for the rest of life, and I don't believe she was without sin. And I'm not gonna sit here and dissect the Catholic stuff. I'm just saying this is the mindset Bethany is coming in with.
Yeah.
Co-redemptrix, mediatrix, and advocate. Mary plays a unique role in redemption. So Mary is a part of the redemption process in some way, some form. Okay. I don't know how. I don't know any of that. I just know that this is part of it. Now, this is one website, so other Catholics, because there are other branches of the Catholic Church, may believe differently. And I guess I'm trying, I know it sounds like I'm trying to, like, not get in trouble with people, but, you know, disagree with me or agree with me. You have, you know, whatever. I'm not here to discuss that as much as just understand where Bethany is coming from as a Catholic raised woman who is currently struggling with her faith, on top of the fact that her husband has left her because she got there is an infection you can get that will destroy your uterus, and that's what she got. And now she was unable to have children, and her husband left her for that, which is terrible. And yep. I want to hit that man, but I will be good. And he doesn't exist, but it makes me mad. Things that make me mad. 101. Men who leave their wives because they can't have children. So, I just think it's interesting. You were like, what are you talking about? Like, how does she not know that Mary has siblings? I'm like, you didn't know that the Catholic Church does not believe Mary ever was never a virgin? I did not know this until this moment. It's really interesting. It just feels good to know something you didn't know.
Because... I guess.
I was like, ha! I knew something about Catholic history that you didn't.
Yeah. Well, because it blew my mind because, like, it literally says...
Chris Rock's
like,
right. Could you, like, why wouldn't Joseph be with his wife? There's no biblical context as to why he wouldn't.
And anytime the Apostle James is mentioned, he's almost always, not always, but most of the time is referred to as James, the brother of Jesus. Also,
I want to point out, though, how interesting that she has, like, the powers of, like, she has priest powers, basically, because she turned water holy and stuff.
Yeah, but
which is funny, because they're kind of basically saying that Jesus' family had, like, rest of his family is pretty normal, like his mother had children, all that stuff, you know. Like, you know, here they are, like a normal family, but you get superpowers now because you're related to Jesus.
Well, keep in mind this, though.
Yes.
That Mary's cousin was Elizabeth.
That is true.
And Elizabeth, both Elizabeth and her husband, with Elizabeth was the mother of John the Baptist, but both Elizabeth and her husband were of the line of Levi. They were Levites. Yeah. Which means that, yes, that...
Oh, so that's what you get, because Levites get priest powers.
Yeah, Levi, well, they were the priests,
but, like, you're not, it's just... Never mind. You know what I mean. Anyway, fine. I will accept it then.
Yeah, there we go.
Fine, you found the reason.
I found the reason. Yeah, I don't think that they went that deep into the research. I'm just saying.
Anyway, so she freaks out, right? Bethany's like, no, that's like her whole faith is just rocked. Again, more rock. So she runs away and has a meltdown because that means, like, as the last Zion, she has, this isn't her only task. This is her first task, is to probably kill these angels before they can walk through the archway and before they become human.
Or to stop them.
Yes, but it's heavily implied that she probably will have to kill them.
Yeah.
And that is, first off, she's still just a human being. Yep. Second, her faith is at the rock bottom, right?
Yeah.
Her team is a dead guy, an idiot, and a quiet guy.
Yeah.
Right?
That's her dream team.
That's her dream team. I say that because he's never mind, because the apostle falls down and he's technically dead. So
he died.
But he keeps talking about him being a dead man. Anyway, and he talked about how he was martyred, wasn't he? He got stoned.
Well, because all of the disciples except for John were martyred.
Because
John was just
people who
banished.
Are lying die for it, right? Sorry, it's one of my biggest things when people are like, "Oh, they just lied about Jesus." Yeah, they died for that. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So,
but I do want.
Yes.
I still want to talk about this whole last Zion thing. Like, there are multiple verses, and if you want to look these up, definitely do so, that talk about Jesus's family. Yes. Matthew 12, 46, 40.
What did the Catholic Church... They have a reasoning for this. I can't remember what it is.
I think it's because of this idea that sex is dirty.
No, I meant, like, how do they explain away the siblings?
Oh, probably because they think that when they use the term brothers, he's not talking about, brothers as like, familiar, like what my little brother is to me, but like brothers like, hey, you're my best friend, you're my brother, that kind of thing. But not only does it talk about, James, it specifically calls James the brother of Jesus, doesn't call other people.
An actual priest's answer to this question.
It also has, like, there's a particular part in the Bible where it talks about Mary and Jesus' siblings coming to basically...
They're saying that's his cousins.
Yeah, that's not. It's...
Because they can use brother for just any family.
Yeah, but...
They might have back then because of how historical context and culture.
Yeah, it's.
I need to sit down and look at the Hebrew, I guess.
I don't think.
Oh crap! What is the New Testament written in?
Greek.
Okay. My brain was like, "What is it? It's not Roman. That's not a language."
Well, Roman would be Latin, and anyways. So it doesn't make sense. There we have the names of his siblings. The way that he talks to and about these different people is different than the other disciples.
For us, the term brother means a male relative sharing identical parents with. That's how for them. So that's the way them making it. I'm sorry. This is the one thing I do believe is incorrect. And you can get on me. I do believe Jesus had siblings. I do believe they were biological half siblings.
Well,
I don't know.
The other thing is during you can also look at it from a cultural standpoint. During this time, most tradespeople were they were tradespeople. Joseph was a carpenter. He was a tradesman. He was a builder. And to own a business like that,
he needs hands.
You had two options.
Your children were your labor.
You could either hire somebody, which costs money. You could get somebody to basically donate their child to you as an apprentice, or you have your own kids. And in most cases, that's what they do. That's why.
Well, you're also called to have children biblically.
Yes,
so,
yes.
like Mary not having, how hard that would have been on them to not even try to have kids. Mary was already in trouble for having a child out of wedlock, technically. So, they already had some stuff going against them as a family.
But it just wouldn't have made sense not to have kids because if any of you listeners grew up in a farm family, you know this to be true.
Or a homeschool family.
You have something like that. You have two choices: hire hands or have kids. And honestly, it may seem counterproductive, but at least in the short term, having kids.
Also, Joseph's pretty old. He needs to have kids.
Yeah.
Isn't he already 25 to 30 by the time he gets married?
So according to it doesn't. I don't think it actually says, but yeah.
You have to be at least established before you're considered for marriage.
Yes, you do.
So
anyways, we could. The next part's pretty rapid fire here. So she decides that I'm gonna take up this mantle, and I'm gonna.
No, we didn't talk about Metatron talking to her.
Oh yeah. Sorry,
so she's having her. Yeah, you made me backtrack on this. Remember? She's having a meltdown by the lake, and she is just like, I don't want this. I can't do this. It's too much. Take it from me. And Metatron shows up and goes, well, God can't hear you because God's missing. But
that.
But Metatron comes up and he's like, wow, you remind me of Jesus. And she's like, what do you mean? And this part, this part's so, it's interesting. It's thought-provoking.
Well, you asked me.
And it's, yeah, I did.
You asked me, what do you think? Do you think that Jesus always knew, or there was a point that he,
I mean, he was a 3-year-old. Does a 3-year-old know they're the son of God? How do you be a human being with all of the human beingness of a developing child and be God? That's my thing. It's when did Jesus know? So Metatron basically comes up to her and he sits down beside her, and he is not a jerk right now at all. He is empathetic and understanding because he's done this before. He's done it for other Zions, and he did this, I guess, in this canon for Jesus. And he sits down and he talks to her about, Jesus did the same thing. He said, take it, I can't do it. He was scared because he was 12 years old when he was told what his destiny was. And I mean, that kind of contradicts already how we believe God functions. But in this context, it was sad.
Well, I think
and it was this empathy that was just flowing, like this sad discussion about how God, because the reason Metatron is the voice of God is because if God spoke to humans, their heads would explode. The presence and power of God himself, because of the separation of sin, made it impossible for God to walk with humans, to be with humanity, right? That's kind of the setup here. Metatron's the voice of God in this movie. So he had to tell Jesus, God himself couldn't even comfort his own son. It was just extremely well written, if not accurate scene. It's a very thought-provoking thing.
It was.
He helped her.
The thing that I liked what he said is he was talking about, she was like, well, this, how am I supposed to go on? Like everything I know is a lie. And he's like, no, this isn't something that changes everything. This is just a new piece of data that you incorporate. Like, you're still you're just this as well.
Yeah, it was.
I don't really know if that has any
I pointed out
theology.
Watching this scene with these two actors, it probably is what saved the movie for me.
Yeah.
Just anytime Bethany was in a deep discussion about anything with Rufus, with Metatron's
yeah.
That's
we've already established that you're having trouble today. Yeah, keep going.
Undertale is a fantastic game, everybody. Metatron is a robot from Undertale who does a dance sequence. It's great. Anyway, Metatron is the voice of God in this movie. Metatron, so, like with Metatron, with Rufus, with Bartleby, and, okay, first off, his name is weird. That's not my fault this time. And, and then, then Jay opens his mouth.
Yeah.
And I die a little inside. It's so bad. He's not even funny, guys. It's not even funny. It's just gross.
Yeah.
And stupid and accurate and just so aloof. I hate it. Thanks, I hate it. Anyway.
So, oh man, we're rough on time, so we're gonna have to rapid fire this. So I think that
I mean,
probably,
you don't think we can't squeeze out stuff out of them going and how frickin' Bartleby loses his mind and begins to murder people.
Yeah, and then. And then there's a showdown with the demons, which actually that was kind of a fun scene.
That is a fun scene if the fighting's terrible.
And then the reason why God is not able to intervene.
Oh my goodness!
Is because apparently God likes to go to Earth in human form
and play skee ball.
Which, that part, okay.
But I like skee ball.
They, the plan that this demon came up with is they were able to trap him in this human form by putting him in a coma.
That was the opening scene, is the rejects, beating God to the point where he passes out in the human form. He has been in the hospital. They've been talking about this guy in the hospital.
Yep.
This John Doe, nobody knows who he is, but he was horribly attacked and all that stuff. And they're at the Catholic Church, and there's this horrible CGI scene that's not very well done of Ben Affleck flying around, picking up people and just dropping them.
Yep.
Like, he has lost it. He is like, he just hates humanity. He just is upset. And then Matt Damon's he's already tore his wings off.
And he's drunk.
And he's just, it's really, he doesn't even walk through the archway.
Yeah.
Like, I think he was done.
Yeah, he's done.
And so, and Affleck kills him, which is really sad because they're like besties.
And they figure out that,
I guess it doesn't matter because
that's how they were able to trap God, is they put him in it, which they put his human form in a coma.
So she runs over and she unplugs God from the life machine.
Which there's your hot topic button checklist marked off there, euthanasia.
I mean, okay. I guess.
Yeah, it really did feel like it had a checklist of things.
I didn't even think about it, actually.
Yeah, well, because it's not.
Someone Bob went with her anyway, so they like the scene of everyone running out of the hospital was actually really funny. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just
please, the apocalypse has come. Please, file out of that like that, and it's like a pre-recorded message, like they had that ready to go. It's the apocalypse.
Somewhere they have that ready to go. Anyway, that was funny. So she unplugs them and like gets hit by electrocution or something, and it kills her, but makes her bleed, which is weird. That's not how that works. Yeah. Like from her stomach, like stabbed her. Anyway, so God shows up before he can walk into. He gets his wings shot off by Ben Affleck, and he goes to run into the church, but then bam, the door's open and God's back, and he's a hot brown woman.
I don't remember. I remember it was a famous singer that they got to play God, and I want to say I don't think actually now I think that's wrong. I don't think it was Sarah. I don't remember who it was. I know it was some famous singer. Anyways, keep going.
I'm looking.
But and so as previously stated.
Okay, so this person, Linda Florentine,
as previously stated in the movie, the voice of God, if you're a mortal human, is so awesome and powerful that it'll blow your brain out or blow your brain up. And so God speaks, and Ben Affleck angel dies.
Well, it's like she hugs him and is all sad for him, and then she kills him.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
Well, because she knows what. Yeah. Like, there's nothing.
And then God undoes all the horribleness. Did he mass revive everybody?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
And apparently, and this is the part that had to have like made a lot of people upset. Apparently, you find out at the end that main character is pregnant with. By immaculate.
Alanis Morissette.
Oh, okay, Alanis Morissette. That's who it was.
Alanis Morissette.
Alanis. Yeah, I knew it was some famous singer.
It's funny because she doesn't talk because she can't.
And so now she's gonna give birth to, I guess, the second coming via immaculate conception.
Oh yeah, I didn't even get that. I mean, I guess it was immaculate. I just thought they were like giving her what she wanted. She wanted to.
No, she was.
And she's not the last Zion. She's having another Zion. That's the idea. You're not the last Zion now. That's what they said.
Yeah, but they said that they imply that she's already pregnant again.
But that doesn't make sense because she's not a virgin.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's the Antichrist.
I guess. And that's how the movie ends. Like literally, that's how it moves. Ends.
I mean, yeah. So
it's
at the end of this movie, I looked at John Mark and I said, I liked it.
Yeah.
In the end, I think I could even watch it again.
Yeah. I thought that Jay and Silent Bob would have been a deal killer, but really, you did point out that they're not in the movie that much.
No, like there's like Jay is annoying, but he maybe takes up 10 minutes of the whole movie, if that.
Yeah, so I could see that.
And I mean, you could almost edit them out.
Yeah, they don't
like they really like they don't add much. Bob does some nice stuff, like he carries her, and he has a few good lines when he does actually speak. When like when they're like going to heaven, and they're like, "Don't worry, I'll say some nice things to help you get in here if you clean up your language." And Silent Bob goes, "Thanks," and Jay looks at him like, "Hey, don't talk. That's not your job, sir." Like I guess they're supposed to have good chemistry together, but Jay just is diarrhea incarnate.
Yeah. Anyways, we need to wrap.
I give this movie a 7 out of 10.
Oh, we're giving them ratings now?
Yeah, I've decided this now.
Okay.
I think, okay, so how I'm rating it for theology is a 5.
5. That's pretty generous, yeah.
The reason I say this is it's not...
I'd say half and half.
Asking the hard questions.
Yep, half and half. I give half.
But half of it is just completely bonkers. So half, like, 5, the 5 is for asking the right questions and interesting questions and kind of making you think. But it doesn't get any higher because the theology it's based off with the angels is completely bonkers.
Yeah.
Movie-wise, I'll pop it down to a 6, actually. Yeah. Jay and Silent Bob really do take it down a lot.
I stick with 7.
But Alan Rickman's in it, so I'm going to put it back up to a 7.
Yeah, let's just give it a 7. All right. I'm not gonna give it necessarily a rating, but I definitely would
I'm not gonna rate anything else, just this movie, guys.
I would recommend it for some people to watch. Like I said, I had to watch this in at least one of my theology classes, so there you go.
67% on
it's an interesting movie. Just keep in mind that a lot of the theology is kind of a little odd, and the scenes with Jay and Silent Bob definitely are not something that I would watch. It won a
Stinker's Bad Movie Award.
Oh, okay.
But it's the artist who won it. Alanis. How do you say her name?
Alanis Morissette?
Yeah, I don't... Excuse me. Yeah.
Anyways.
She won Musicians Who Shouldn't Be Acting Award. She didn't do that bad. She didn't do anything. How can you even judge that? She was in the movie for 2 minutes.
It's fine. Anyways. I definitely wouldn't recommend watching this with your kids because there is
Alan
a
Rickman
lot
won.
of bad language and other stuff like that.
Oh, no, it's definitely not a kid's movie.
Yeah. So anyways, I think that that is probably, we are very much over time, but oh boy, was this a lot of a movie. And we didn't even cover everything. So we might do a part 2 where we break down some things. Huh?
It was supposed to have a sequel. It got canceled.
Yeah.
In 2005.
Anyways.
We are Faithful Nerds, a commentary and discussion podcast. We research, break down, and do our best to stay true to our faith. But as always, we are flawed human beings who make mistakes. Speaking of which...
If you want to contact us and give us feedback, corrections, or further questions, you can reach us at faithfillednerds@gmail.com, facebook.com/faithfillednerds, and our Twitter is at nerdsfaith.
Faith Nerds was taken. Thank you, Steve Rue, for the use of your jazz opening from your jazz album. You can find Steve Rue at youtube.com/Steve Rue and where online music is sold.
Thank you all for supporting us. Just knowing you are there really does encourage us to continue our work. Please leave us a review and rating on whatever platform you listen to. It definitely helps us, and it kind of lets us know that you guys are liking what we're doing. And now it's time for our out of context Bible verse.
2 Chronicles 28:3. He burned sacrifices in the valley of Ben Hinnom and sacrificed his children in the fire, engaging in the detestable practice of the nations the Lord had driven out before the Israelites.
I'm John Mark.
And I'm Michelle.
And in the words of the immortal Wolfwood, go with God.